I was watching a late-night program recently in which the singer and activist Bono was featured. So for those of you who don't know, Bono is the front man for the band U2, and he's also a major activist urging social justice concerns all over the world. And Bono was there to talk about the RED campaign, which is his new campaign that he's getting behind to fight AIDS around the world, to put an end to AIDS. But before I talk about that, a little bit of background on his campaign, the one before this, the One campaign. Bono worked on the One campaign for maybe the last decade or so. And it was a campaign designed to link people one by one around issues of poverty. The hope was to encourage government leaders to make good on their promises laid out in something called the Millennium Development Goals. 15 goals that, if accomplished between 2000 and 2015, would drastically reduce the problems of poverty around the world. They were all practical, they were all accomplishable. Bono put tons of energy and time and money and all of his star power into this campaign, and thousands and millions of people even joined on. But you know, here we are, it's almost 2012, and we've hardly made any steps at all toward accomplishing these Millennium Development Goals. In some ways, you might even say the One campaign was a failure. So he's talking about the RED campaign, and I find myself, I was a member of the One campaign, by the way, feeling a little skeptical. When he said, we have the means to end AIDS in the next decade, I thought, sure, we have the means, but we don't have the will. It's impossible. Never going to happen. This December, this Advent season, our church is engaging in the Advent conspiracy, right? This is a conspiracy that's meant to encourage us to change our lifestyles, to spend less, to give more, to love people more fully, to worship more fully. And the campaign, as you probably know, was originally started not only to accomplish these things, but also to help get clean water to individuals around the world. $20 billion is all it would take to ensure clean water for everyone in the world. And $450 billion is spent on Christmas every year. We learned this from the videos we've watched over the past few weeks. If only everyone would spend just a little less on one gift and give that money to ensure clean water, we could accomplish it. We have the means. But do we have the will? Isn't it impossible? Never gonna happen. We're not actually gonna get every American to do that simple, small thing. Do you ever look at the world skeptically? You see new ideas and idealists come to light and you think, there's the next sucker on the sucker train. Never gonna happen. A dictator is squashed in one country only to rise in another. A war ends one place only to start in another place. The sum total of human happiness may not have shifted all that much since day one. Something that happens that changes the world? Impossible. Never gonna happen. But it did once. In the 6th month, the angel Gabriel was sent by God to a town in Galilee called Nazareth, to a virgin engaged to be married to a man whose name was Joseph of the house of David. The virgin's name was Mary. Are you listening? Does that still give you goosebumps? An angel of God comes to this ordinary person in this ordinary town about whom we know next to nothing, and says some pretty amazing things. Greetings, favored one, the Lord is with you. But she was much perplexed. Gosh, I'd say that's the understatement of the millennia. She was probably terrified by his words and pondered what sort of greeting this might be. The angel said, "Do not be afraid, Mary. You have found favor with God. You will conceive in your womb and bear a son, and you will name him Jesus. He will be great. He will be called the Son of the Most High. The Lord of all will give to him the throne of his ancestor David. He will reign over the house of Jacob forever, and of his kingdom there will be no end." And Mary said, "Here am I, the servant of the Lord. let it be to me according to your word. It happened once. The world changed forever. Once. Now, you might not see it. Again, you look around, and there are still wars and rumors of wars and dictators and poverty, and not everyone has clean water, and you think, really, did it change? Did Jesus make a difference? But what we profess, we who follow Christ, we who claim Jesus as Lord, is that a mighty change did come, not so visible on the outside, but there for each of us on the inside, slowly working from the inside out to change the world. That inside change is a heart change, a release of our burdens. The Son of Man came to seek and save the lost. That's what Jesus said of himself. And who are the lost but you and me? Lost in our own sin, our own burdens, our fear, our anger, all that holds us captive. Jesus Christ came to set it right through his death and resurrection. And by giving each person in the whole world the opportunity to be set free from burdens, the world was changed. Impossible things started to happen. This old woman named Elizabeth became pregnant, and this young woman named Mary gave birth to a man who was also God. A king showed up in a cow stall. God showed up with us. The most impossible thing about it all is that bit, that last bit. God showed up with us. God became human. As a pastor, I have to field a lot of tough questions, most of which I don't know the answers to. Probably the hardest ones are those asked around the incarnation, Jesus Christ, God becoming human. Pastor, did Jesus cry as a baby, or would that have been sinful? Pastor, can you explain to me about Jesus' DNA? He got half of Mary's chromosomes and then half of God's? Does God have chromosomes, Pastor? Can you even wrap your mind around this impossible thing, this incarnation? Somebody who is at the same time fully human, totally, completely, 100% human, and totally 100% God. It's impossible. But it happened. God did the impossible. God gave us God. He will be great, called the Son of the Most High. The Lord God will give to him the throne of his ancestor David. He will reign over the house of Jacob forever, and of his kingdom there will be no end. So if we have been given God, if the impossible has happened, then we too, by God's power, with God with us, can do the impossible. God has given to us, then we can give ourselves to others. Today's Advent conspiracy theme is give more. Now, this goes against our human nature. Our biological urge is to keep all that we have, to get while we can get while the getting is good, to preserve ourself and our species. It's impossible to ask human beings to give more. It's like getting $20 billion for water, or ending AIDS, or accomplishing the Millennium Development Goals. But it is possible. The impossible becomes possible with God. Give more. Well, how much is more? More what? I would finish that sentence. Give more than you think you can. Give more than you think you should. Give more than is reasonable. Give abundantly. Give all of yourself as God has given all of himself to us. Give what? Well, start with maybe your stuff. Maybe today you came in with a box full of food for Martin Luther King Kitchen for the Poor, or a bag of toiletries for Cherry Street Mission. Maybe you took a little time, a little money, a little effort to accumulate this stuff. Give of your stuff, or give of your talent. Not only did we have the opportunity to hear the choir's ministry this morning, for those of you who are sticking around for the 10 o'clock service, you'll get to see the ministry of our children in their program this Christmas. These kids are going to get up boldly, unafraid, uninhibited on stage and share God's love with us through their singing and their words, just by being here. They're giving of their talent. That takes a lot of courage. Give of your stuff, your talent, your time. Now, if you're going to give more of your time, that might cause a little bit of a shift in your priorities. Because giving more time either requires driving yourself crazy and never sleeping, or doing less of one thing so you can do more of another. Perhaps if people are coming to visit with you this season, you might spend a little less time preparing for their arrival and a little more time with them. When Ed and I lived in Boston, we had the opportunity to visit the homes of two different members of our church there. First, we went to the home of Art and Rana Von Au. Now, the Von Aus had clearly spent a lot of time in preparation. The house was spotless. The meal was impeccable. Several courses, plates full of amazing food, several forks lined up on one side and several spoons on the other. The house, when you walked in, spoke of class and elegance, taste, and money. And I felt ridiculously uncomfortable the whole time. I could barely eat. I was so afraid it would be the wrong fork or the wrong spoon. I was afraid when I talked that I wouldn't speak in complete sentences and Art and Rana would detect my grammatical mistakes. They had spent so much time preparing, but the time they spent with us was uncomfortable and awkward. Not too much after that, we got invited to the home of Dr. Helmut Kester. Now, Dr. Kester is a very well-known biblical scholar, works at Harvard University. He's a biblical archaeologist, too. He's traveled all over the world. He's gone to Greece and Turkey and the Holy Land on all of these exciting archaeological digs, and there's just about nothing he doesn't know about the New Testament. So I was a little intimidated going to his home. But clearly, Dr. Kester and his wife Gita were less concerned about preparing for us than just being with us. There were stacks of books, a little bit of dust here and there. We didn't eat in the dining room, we ate in the kitchen, a simple meal that Gita prepared. But goodness, they just gave all of themselves to us and all of their time to us. They didn't care what the house looked like. They didn't care if the food was presented beautifully. They listened to what we had to say. We stayed there for hours. Helmut told us some amazing stories of his travels and showed us some really cool artifacts. We had such a great time because they cared more about the time spent with us than the time spent preparing. Give of your stuff, of your talent, your time, of your lifestyle. Give of your lifestyle. Learn to live on less. Learn to give more. We recently, Ed and I, had dinner at the home of a friend. He and his wife told us that they are in the habit of giving loans to friends of theirs who are in need. So my friend and his wife will pay off whatever debt their friends have, capital and interest, and then will allow those friends to pay them back at no interest as they are able. My friend and his wife are able to do this not because they make a lot of money. He's a pastor at a very, very small church, and she works part-time at Owens, but because they have learned to live on less so that they can give more. Give of your stuff, your time, your talents, your lifestyle, your heart. My dad died when I was fairly young, and I can remember at the funeral and in the weeks and months after that, hearing so many stories from people about the things he did to give of his heart to them, particularly the notes he wrote. It seems that over the course of my father's lifetime, he wrote hundreds of encouraging notes to people in his medical practice, in his church, in his family, telling them the gifts that he saw in them and how he saw Christ in their lives. Very quietly, never told anybody else that he was doing this, he made a huge impact in people's lives by giving of his heart. So give more. Do the impossible, because God has already given to you. So the capacity is there. And when you step out and you give a little more, then you will find maybe that those big impossible things, 20 billion for water, 15 Millennium Development Goals, become possible as well. God is with us, and therefore nothing is impossible.